Welcome, 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 everyone. My name is Neil Thrussell, and you will notice to my other side, no Jamie today. Jamie is abandoned, and we have the privilege and pleasure of Sarah Ross coming in as my cohort. Cohort? That's good. Co-host, partner in crime. Jamie is off taking some additional training because he needs training. He's tough to manage and be with. So, as I said, my name is Neil Thrussell. I am the co-founder of the Shindao philosophy, co-owner of Best You Can Be, 3 times international best-selling author of A Warrior's Heart, The Awakening Trilogy, and I'm here to have fun. And who are you, Sarah?
Hi, Neil, co-host extraordinaire. I'm Sarah Ross. I'm the founder of Your Reason to Breathe. So I'm a mental health strategist who helps people, companies not lose good people to mental health issues by helping them create an environment where everyone can thrive. So goodbye burnout and hello blissful working environment.
And we have the incredible Dee with us. Dee, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am Dee. I'm from Venezuela. I am in Canada. I'm in Calgary, Alberta, and we have a wonderful, few days of snowfall nonstop. I don't know why. What's happening? It's fall. It's not winter yet, and there's so many hats I wear in my life, from personal training to mom, to partner, to party person, you name it. And of course, as Neil was saying offline, when it comes to taboo conversations, it's so much fun.
And right off the bat, you come from Venezuela, which is warm. Then you're in Canada, which right now is cold. What were you thinking, Dee?
I could give you a funny answer, but there is no funny answer to that. And honestly, the only thing is, Venezuela is being very corrupted for the longest time, and I knew the system wasn't for me. I always knew. And when you're not Canadian, Canada seems to be the place to be. It's perfect. They never talk about the winters. And I'm like, what's happening?
That's so true.
It is just a thing. You hear about, I remember when I was little, Greenpeace. Oh, they're in Canada. When you look at United Nations, the peacekeepers, Canada's always, raising that flag for peace. So you hear all these wonderful things, not anymore, but not recently. But when I was little about Canada, so that was the place to be, right? And but honestly, it never crossed my mind that the weather could have been something to think about as well.
You missed the really, really, really tiny print in the promotional brochure. Immigrate to Canada, and then the little tiny print.
Well, I know. Well, let me tell you this, because nobody knows unless that you're an immigrant, right? So when I went to the Canadian Embassy in Caracas, and then you're like, I want to apply, blah, blah, blah. You go through the whole screening, and then you have an interview and with the ambassador. And then, they ask you a bunch of questions. And at the very end, they tell you, you just wait for the approval, if you're approved or not, to come to Canada. And they give you brochures. Exactly what you said, Neil. They give you these beautiful brochures. Unfortunately, I don't have them anymore, because today could have been so much fun to show it around. But they give you this beautiful brochure, it's just that's old school maps that you kind of unfold, and then you have this beautiful view. They have this wonderful, you remember when you were going to university and you have this brochure with these beautiful pictures that everybody's happy at university? Same freaking pictures in that brochure, okay? So, and they
Everyone
were
having a
mostly
picnic.
all summer
Yeah.
pictures. Okay. And then on the bottom, you will have this table, right? Like grid, and it has all the main cities across Canada, and it has all the average temperatures. That was another trick, because I realized that it was the average when I moved to Canada. Because I'm like, this is not making any sense. Because I used to go back. I'm like, so what happened? We chose Calgary. And then I'm going to my brochure, looking at the temperatures. And of course, after a few years, I realized that they were giving us the average. And I'm like, what the heck? That's a good marketing strategy.
Yeah. And what the incredible part is yes, we bamboozled you, us Canadians bamboozled you and got you in here, but you're still beautifully happy about being in this crazy cold country.
Well, I gotta say that not always. And
Yes.
at the first, it takes, so there are phases to it. Okay, so the phases I went through. So the first 6 months, you're like, because my ex-husband and I moved to Calgary in October 21st, 2001. Okay, it's fall. It's October. It's fall. So it give us time to get ready for winter. The next day, we open the window because we're in Canada, right? You're just like, oh my God, let's appreciate the new country. There was snow everywhere. I'm like, oh my God, where the heck? Right? That wasn't in the brochure.
I wouldn't have said, where the heck am I?
I totally, right? Have you ever watched the movie what is it? Cool Runners.
Yep.
Cool Runners.
Yeah. That feeling that you get in the movie, it's completely right, because that's it. Even that day that we arrived, it was very cold. It was like 5 degrees, but we're coming from 30 degrees to 5 degrees. Like, you feel it, right? And but anyway, so we go through all that, and then it was always snow. Right? It's October. I'm like, what the heck? So the first 6 months, which is basically winter, I'm like, oh my God, what the heck? Where did we move? Because at this point it's March and we're still having freaking snow on the ground. And I'm like, what the heck? Anyway, of course,
You're not having Sarah come visit us in the wintertime. You're doing a terrible job.
But hold on, that's the first 6 months, okay? So let's go progressively to the whole transition happened. So that was the first 6 months. The first year, and so now is 6 more months. I'm like, okay, it's not too bad. So we have summer. Okay, so
that's quite an endorsement. It's not too bad.
Yeah, there's a stampede. So we're like, okay, so things are getting better. But then you get the second winter and you're like, oh my God. Right? So fast forward about I would say 5 years, 5 to 6 years. Okay. Every single winter, I used to work in downtown in oil and gas industry and all that stuff. So, it makes sense that you take the C train, the public transportation, instead of driving. So for all this time, it took me 2 years to get a real job. Well, they're all real jobs, but a job in my career. So the following 4 years, it is me going to C train, taking the bus and all that stuff. Every single winter, I will be walking to the bus stop and I'm like, what the fuck did I do? Why did we choose Canada? Why we couldn't choose anything? And in the meantime, my ex-husband and I are planning, we're working on our plan B. what will be the other place in the world that we can move? And I'm serious. Like we're thinking about even Dubai. Like we just went nuts. We were like anywhere. And after I have my third child, okay, at this point I have all sort of different coats, okay, different length. And I have tried every single winter boot that you can imagine. Anything like mittens, like gloves with fingers, like everything. There was like there's nothing that it protects us from this cold. And this, I will never forget this day. My walk from my house to the bus stop, it was just a block. I could even see the bus stop from one of my windows in the house. So I'm walking, it was -30, -35, something insane like that. And I'm like, what the heck did I do? So at this point, my ex-husband and I already have looked at every single country that we could move to. And we're like, you know what? At the end of the day, Canada seems to be the best option no matter what, right? And I said, this is the 5-second conversations, right? The self-talk. Okay, we don't have plan B. We cannot go back to Venezuela. We already have 3 kids that are born Canadian. You know what? I just gotta make peace with this, deal with it. And it was those seconds of that conversation what it took me to make peace with winter. It took me 6 years, but I did it.
Absolutely. And yeah, I was born in Canada, and it still can take me a while to get used to the crazy winters. But I still love snow. I don't like the absolute contrasting where we'll go from +40 to -40. One year on New Year's while living in Calgary, it was -27. I mean, -20 Celsius at 7 in the morning. By noon, it was +20 Celsius. And that just wreaks havoc on one's body. You don't know what to wear.
It is.
And I think it's part of what makes we as Canadians go, okay, and not take things so crazily and get all bent out of shape, because really we'd be terrible people if we really got bent out of shape.
Yeah, no, it totally takes it you know, and I hear so many of my Canadian friends still complaining about winter, and which I don't understand, because I'm like, you're born here, you know, you grew up in this, right? And at least what I have to say is, at least no matter like I'm saying like 6 years, it took me about 6 years to make peace with winter, and but at least I did, okay, because I still have friends, I have, you know, and I'm sure you guys have, you know, immigrant friends that are still in Canada and they're still complaining, and that's not gonna take me anywhere, right? Honestly, that it is what it is, right? And that's where I compensate with fashion winter boots and fashion scarf that all have to be warm, of course. So it is a mix between warm and fashion. And I have a coat in every single color. It has to match my outfit. So I have to do something about it, right?
Yep. Well, since Sarah's across the pond, she doesn't have to deal with cold winters too much, but she gets to deal with rain and that sort of thing. So I suspect everyone still complains about the weather. Doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah, I was thinking, as you said, oh, the average temperatures. I was like, oh, I think ours on the brochure is average rainfall. And we'll hide it by, you know, just average, and then it might be a year, and then the next time they do the brochure is like of the last decade, because we had a few years where it was very wet. But you know, now it's like the 3rd anniversary of me moving back to the UK. I spent 10 years in Switzerland.
Wow.
So I'm used to having temperatures of like -16 and, you know, not feeling your thighs as you walk down the road because you forgot to put the right clothes on and, you know, these things. But it always amazes me, you know, when you come from a country that is used to it and set up for it, just how little a change in the weather upsets us here in the UK. You know, 2 snowflakes, like 2 snowflakes, and our buses are like, we don't go. Like the snow's not even lying on the ground, and everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, it's a storm!" It's like, come on, people. It's like the cars will still drive, you know. So that's the bit that I still find quite, you know, amusing. Plus the fact the down jackets in the UK come out around about August, September time, you know, and you'll see people walking around. You're like, what are you going to wear in winter? Like we don't have -20, -27, but these winter, as soon as it gets to like autumn or the nights get a bit darker, people are like full winter coats, gloves, and thinking like, it's gonna get colder, people. Like,
Do you know the store Zara?
yes.
Okay, so Zara became very, very popular in Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, their clothing line goes through the 4 seasons. And they still bring in winter coats to Venezuela. Okay? But it goes with what you're saying, Sarah. I saw people in Venezuela at 20, 30 degrees above zero, okay, plus wearing winter coats because it's all about fashion. That's what it was fashionable somewhere in the world, right?
Yeah. I have it when I go to Vietnam. So I'll be volunteering at the orphanage and it'll be like 40 degrees, 40 Celsius. And literally I am just running with sweat. And the Vietnamese ladies are sat there like perfectly made up. They do not sweat. They don't get hydrated. And I'm literally like a puddle on the floor, pouring water in so it can just flow out my pores.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is crazy. But then I was there one winter where it was like 15 degrees outside. That's like British summer. So there's me by 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm running around in a t-shirt. I haven't got shorts on, but I've got like capri pants. And they are literally sat there in winter boots, down jackets, going, oh, it's so cold. It's so cold. It's like, this is summer. It's amazing. But yeah.
It's all about perspective.
Yes.
And so I'm going to just change topics a bit. Dee, you recently rebranded yourself, and it takes a lot of courage in today's world to rebrand with the word naked in it as a woman, because people, and I will say society, has this belief, a puritanical whatever belief, that you can't use naked and personal development or and be wholesome. If you use naked, it's like in the word. Have you found that, or are you just ignoring those occasional people that are shocked because you're using the word naked in your branding?
So here's it is you know, it's funny that you're asking that question. You're the first person that's like asked me straightforward, okay? And so there are a couple of things like that, and one of the things that I came to realize, or I always knew that I was, and that's part of my bio. I was a troublemaker. I still am. I'm a rebel. I do whatever I want, and I don't care what people think of me. I grew up that way. That is something that it's part of who I am, right?
I don't think you said that on your application to get into Canada.
I know, I never.
Nope.
Yeah.
No.
Perfect. Yeah. And so when I started looking into developing my business, because here's the thing, okay, you know, I'm a personal trainer. All I do is around health and fitness. And then, you know, when I started looking into how am I growing my business, right? Not what I know, but the business itself, and how am I going to brand myself? And it took years. I have been doing this business for 5 years already, and it was for the first few years I'm learning. Okay, I'm learning how am I going to run a business, and then it comes down to I'm doing what I was told, and for business, and you know, the things that you need to do, that it's supposed to be right, and you want to make everybody happy in ways that you don't want to create controversy, right? Because you want to be accepted, especially you know, and kind of fitting in the industry. I did it. And when my book came out last year, because I have been cooking this in my head.
And
This
what
is
was
not
the book?
who I am.
What was the book?
The book Happy Naked.
Thank you.
And so I have been thinking, how am I going to just put out there things? That's it. And you know, whatever it is, that's it. And then the book came out, and of course it's Happy Naked. There is so there is a picture of me, and then who the heck writes a book like this in fitness and health, and you know, with this kind of cover. So I don't have even weights on that cover book, right? On the book cover. So anyway, so I said, I'm gonna do it. I don't care. You know, whoever likes me, they're gonna like me. And what it turns out is there is a lot of women and men who are not happy naked. And what it did is it brought up that question to them, right? Like, wow, am I really happy naked? Like, what do I need to do in order to be happy with my own body? And the word naked also, is not only about your naked body, but it's also about being vulnerable. So how many of us are brave enough to be vulnerable to say, I'm not happy naked, I would need help, right? I don't feel comfortable having sex with the lights on. I'm not comfortable seeing myself naked in front of the mirror, right? Because because we are our worst judge, right? So you look
Absolutely.
at yourself in front of the mirror, you're fully naked, and you're like, oh my God, what about this? What about this? Oh, my boob, I have one boob that is smaller or bigger than the other
You
one.
too?
Oh, like you don't, hopefully. And then in your case, you might have one ball hanging lower than the other one, I guess, like something like that. Who knows? And so, but then those are the things that we criticize ourselves. Or even you're like, you can be active and you can do it all the right things, and you always gonna see something that is not right on your body. Like, it's just crazy how we are, right? So
it's an interesting analogy. If we fix a car or we fix a house, we strip it down to the bare frame, to the bare, and then we rebuild it. But we as humans are ashamed and afraid to strip down to see what it is and then work from there and be willing to rebuild it.
yeah. And we have to rebuild it. I have 3 kids, so I have to rebuild my body quite a few times.
It's been seen.
Yeah, totally, right? So, you know, and that's how I jump into, okay, so the book is out. What's next, right? How I'm going to start putting things out there that they all start making sense, right?
Absolutely.
And that's when I change from. So now when we look at it, is we have Dee Health and Fitness is the big umbrella. And then now we have like Naked Fit, which is mainly online training and fitness and health and all that stuff, but mainly online. Then we have the book now working on the interviews and having all the taboo conversations and stuff like that, which is all about elevating ourselves, right? Because it's the same thing. The interviews, so it's all, the show is called Happy Naked, but it's all about elevating ourselves because it's the same thing. It's taboo, right? And it's all about bringing all those things that nobody dare to talk about, right? It's like nobody wants to talk about politics right now because they don't want the confrontation. Nobody wants to talk about their emotions because it's too painful, right? So, but we need to talk about it.
And we'll use politics. Most people don't want to talk about it because we're so vested in our opinion and we're not vested in listening to the other person. And when I believe when most people look in the mirror, they're more vested in the other person's viewpoint and voice that society has told them how they're supposed to be than their own vested interest in what's right there in front of them and how do they believe that they present.
Yeah. And on that, when it comes to body image, there is something that I personally have a very particular opinion, okay? And it's because I have trouble accepting this whole belief that we all have to accept ourselves as we are. There is truth to it, okay? Because it's like we need to accept ourselves as we are. This is who I am. And but then, because this is who I am, it doesn't mean that I don't have anything to improve, right?
Yeah.
Because this is who I am, it doesn't mean that I don't have things that I may have to change, right? I don't like cellulite, and I do have it. Like I turn 40 and then cellulite show up, and I'm like, oh, what's wrong? Like, what's happening, right? And that's another topic, right? We go with age and menopause and all those crazy things that, that's taboo as well. So, but then we're looking now into this aspect where, I'm fat. It's okay to be fat. No, it's not okay to be fat. It is okay to be healthy. And if your weight and your body composition, because they have nothing to do with weight, if you have the right body composition and you're healthy, which means free of pain and aches, no prescription medications, like you are completely balanced in all areas, that is health. Because everybody is overweight, it doesn't mean that it's normal. Because everybody's taking prescription drugs, it doesn't mean that it's normal. So because if something is common doesn't mean it's normal. And that's what we're doing with body image, right? And I'm not saying that we have to point our fingers at ourselves saying, oh my God, I have 5 pounds overweight. Like, it's not about that. It is about taking action, right? So I'm not in the place that I want to be. And if you don't feel good with your body the way it is, nobody can tell us, just accept yourself as you are. No, there's something wrong with that. That's where I personally have a struggle with how things are starting to be, like people are putting things out there. Because at the end of the day, I'm not judging anybody, whether, because we're talking about fat people, but being underweight, it's also unhealthy. So, but it's accepted to be super skinny and unhealthy, and that's okay. And nobody talks about that. But then if somebody is overweight, fat, obese, that's too offensive. We call them fat. Or if we'll call them that, like, no, because it goes so it is this extreme. But what about if we go here and then we go to the middle where you are happy, definitely with your body weight, you're free of pain, you're balanced, you're able to deal with your emotions. Because if you're not healthy and your gut is completely screwed up, your emotions are out of whack as well. And I'm sure Sarah knows about it, right? Because, with all this, mental issues that we're experiencing in our society right now, it goes back to our gut. right? Our
Absolutely.
digestion, all the things that we're doing. But then how are we going to be happy naked, right? Even if the food choices that you make are not supporting your mental health.
Yeah.
So, which is the case of a lot of anorexic women, right? That they're always fighting for that because, but they're not healthy. So I hope I'm getting my point across. Because it's not about, my point is not about judging people. It is a different view. My view is different on body image, right? But accepting, but not accepting.
I think it is the healthy acceptance. Is it supportive or non-supportive, your acceptance? Because if I am not healthy, but I'm going to claim the spiritual, well, it's just what it is, and I'm okay with who I am, then there's issues that you could be hiding behind, or there's issues that you're not looking at. So there's that acceptance is a really difficult, especially those in the spiritual realm, that sometimes I just want to go, and that's not spiritual in itself, is we really need to look at all the underlying, the shadow within ourselves as to what is not driving us, what is keeping us stuck, and is our choices truly healthy?
Yeah, no, and I think that's where things actually come down to, because there's a lot of shaming in many things, and it's to me it's not acceptable. Like for me, judgment, it's something that I learned the hard way not to judge people,
Yeah.
and also because I have been judged many times, right? Because I'm the crazy person. Like, well, the fact that I'm in the fitness industry and I'm choosing to brand myself as naked fit without being in the porn, like industry, right? So you know what? This is what it is, right? This is who I am, and that's it. But also with the intention to allow people to start understanding and coming out, right? It's just saying, you know what, this is what it is. And I was even thinking about that today. I always, it is incredible how we're normalizing bad health. Okay. And I keep hearing people like they come and they want to work with me and all that stuff. And every single time I ask, how's your health? How do you feel? No, I'm healthy. I'm like, okay. I normally say, okay. And then I start asking my deep questions. Are you taking, how's your blood pressure? How are you? Yeah, are you looking at yourself naked in the mirror? Awesome. And so the question is, do you have any high blood pressure issues? Do you have diabetes? Do you consider yourself that you're on the right way? How's your digestion? And then it's when you start getting the answers, right? Oh no, but I'm addicted to coffee. I know I cannot. Then you're not. So that is the word. Even when we're addicted to something, it's not healthy, because it's that mental, right? Like way of being way too far on something, right? And but then we're normalizing that you're healthy, even though you have high blood pressure, you have diabetes, you're not like, your body composition is not the right one for you, as your height, your strength, the kind of work that you do in life and all that kind of things. But no, but it's fine, you're healthy. No, you're not freaking healthy. Or somebody like, I'm healthy, I just smoke. What the fuck? It's not, you're not healthy. Because it's
Oh,
also,
I was too slow on the beat.
no, I forgot.
Absolutely, it's okay.
It's true though, because I was admitted to hospital when I was in Switzerland. I spent 2 weeks on a surgical ward, suspected appendicitis, couldn't eat, literally could not eat without getting very, very sick. And I lost 10% of my body weight in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Now, I'm a fairly big girl, I'm up there. I have bits to work on. And I went to my house doctor GP and said, I've lost 10% of my body weight in the last 2 weeks. There's something wrong. I need help. And he just looked at me and said, well, you've got plenty more to lose.
What?
Now,
that is wrong.
If I had walked in there weighing 60 kilos, size 2, 4, whatever, and said, I've lost 10% of my body weight, they would have immediately been working very, very hard to find out what was causing it. But because in his eyes, and I will say he was a very old doctor, in his eyes, I could lose a few pounds. I should actually just take it as a gift that whatever was going in my body was going in the right way.
Totally.
And as it was, eventually we went through a lot of tests and found out that it was things that I was eating that my body couldn't process that was causing all these reactions. But the impact, even now, and it is 12, 14 years later, that's the story that has done more damage because of the shaming and because of, the implications that, I wasn't worth his time because I hadn't looked after myself properly.
Yeah.
You kind of go, okay, thanks, Mr. Doctor.
and you know what? And that's the bottom line to absolutely all of us. It is about, and I see that more and more in it's way more common in women that we don't really take care of ourselves. I see that a lot in moms when they become moms, right? It is like they put themselves on the side and then it's all about their kids. They even forget about their partners, who's the only person is going to be there when they get old, right? Will be doing their own thing. And then, it's your partner that is going to be there and loving you and doing all that stuff. But those are the things that we have the tendency to forget. And a lot of the things it goes with, of course, stress, the lack of community or the lack of having your tribe. It goes back to understanding that in the past, as a culture myself, it is we're a tribe, right? If something happens, and I don't know if you have seen the Red Table Talk. And it is a show that Jade, Will Smith's wife, she has Jada. That. Now they started another show, which is the Red Table Talk, and is the Stephans, which is Gloria Stefan, her niece, and her daughter. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, culturally speaking, they were talking about divorce, right? Gloria Stephanie's got divorced. It was a massive issue it was all out there how it ended up happening. She got destroyed emotionally and on how, because it was all a result of cheating. And that was a few years ago. That wasn't too long ago. And they're sharing this story. But the funny thing is, that they all, as a family, were going through the divorce. It wasn't her. It was the family divorcing this guy. Right? Yep. And that's where I come from, right? Where we're all tribe. It's annoying, don't get me wrong. And I'm still, because it goes with boundaries. So my family, as a culture, we don't know boundaries. It's like a yes. And, same thing. When I separate, my mom was like, oh my God, here we are, I'm here with you. But then I was like, no, yes, you're here with me, but this is I need to resolve this. But it was more like we are all divorcing Oscar, right? Like, I'm not going to talk to him anymore because what? I'm like, chill. He's still the dad of my kids, right? But and I'm putting it in a very extreme way. But that tribe feeling or a state of being, we lost that. So we don't really have that time to dedicate to ourselves, right? Because there's nobody that can help you to clean the house. There's nobody that can help you to look after the kids, or like that is the beauty of being in a tribe with boundaries. So, but that's kind of the stuff that we're losing, and I think that's why we're also losing a lot of that space and that time that we could have to be better, right, and relieve stress as well.
You make an interesting point in my mind. We've lost multi-generations in one household or very close to each other.
Yes.
It
Yes.
becomes the grandparents can live hundreds of, or if not thousands of miles away, and we are moving towards a society that's okay with it. And yet grandparents are so important into the upbringing of a community. Yes, parents and grandparents can drive us to drink or eat in excess or do all of the addictions we have, but they also can be so positive for our family's development.
Yes. And I grew up with my great grandma, my grandma, my mom, my sister, and I. And then one of my uncles divorced. He moved in with us, right? Let's talk about tribe and community, okay? So my mom divorced and she moved in with my grandma. At this point, my great grandma and my grandma were living together. So then my mom is moving with her two girls, right? Here we are. Then my uncle divorced. He moved in with us. And then he brought one of my cousins moved in with us as well. And here we are. It's a tribe, right? We're all supporting each other. You don't have anywhere to go. We're still living in the same house. And that experience that I had, it is very, very rare, even for people my age.
Yep.
Okay. So, and as younger they are, it becomes more rare and more rare. And one of the challenge, and I'm not even there yet, but I'm preparing myself, is to that exactly thing that you said, Neil, is like if my kids decide to go somewhere, and they decide to have kids, I will be a grandmom. But how is that gonna be? My mom moved here. My mom is here in Calgary, and my brother is my mom and my brother we sponsor them, and they moved to Calgary. They were here. My brother right now is in Vancouver, and my mom is still here. She's married. She married someone about 10 or 12 years ago, and then but we're still like we do things together. My mom gets quite often together with my kids, because my ex-husband lives closer to my mom than me now. I moved farther from my mom. And but we were all very close, like 5 minutes away from each other. Like my ex, my mom, and I were all in the same kind of community. And it definitely make a big difference. And I think especially for grandkids.
So I'm going to change topics again and go back to this body image. So who do you think, as we age, is it more acceptable to get body image? Because I think there's the dad belly, that it's society. The dads get the belly, and they shortly after they get married, they let themselves go to pot because they don't have to chase anyone. That's the stereotypic of it. And yet I find that women either will get the belly, but they're the first ones to get back onto the health wagon. Your thoughts, observations?
So there are a few things to that, right? So there is a whole and I don't know when in history, right, we decided that as we age, we're supposed to gain weight and be inactive and and start having more pains and aches. I have no idea when in the history that became a thing, right? And we need to reverse that. We need to reverse that belief, where there are and I'm going to speak on a lot of research that is done now, where they're saying, scientists are saying that we can reverse aging. Okay, so that is one thing. So it is there is, if we do the right things, right, we can reverse it. That's the number one thing. And the other thing is, when it comes to let things go, like, yeah, I have my belly, I'm in my 60s, I'm fine. And then as women, our ass gets bigger and it's horrible. Like, it's just, oh my God, we cannot even fit it. We can be, a lot of women can be very skinny on top and then a huge ass, right? And so, and it's like, yeah, no, that's age. It's the hormones. The hormones got into my hips. Like, no, that is not acceptable, right? And we need, it's and the thing is, it goes back to health, right?
Yep.
Because we are assuming that pains and aches come with age, and we put body image when we're aging, let's say after 50, 60, 70, right? We have the understanding that we don't need to look good anymore, right? Like, and we're in our 40s, 30s, 20s, it's all about the look, right? But then we pass that age where it's not about the look, because you already know that you love yourself, you're fine, you have your life experience, what the heck, right? But that's when it's not about body image, but it's about performance, right? Because you want to be able to go up and down the stairs fine, without the fear of falling, because you're stable, because you have muscles. And what muscles do, other than making you look okay or according to your body type, right? What it does is it provides you stability, it provides you strength, you have balance, you're agile, like your metabolism is faster, so you're able to eat things and then your body metabolizes it and digests it nicely. So I honestly don't know where things got all twisted, but part of my thing as well, it is to reverse aging, and I do a lot of research on that, because we definitely need to move away from pain and aches. And there's something wonderful that comes with age, right? Because we don't care about body image anymore. Like, we don't care about how we look like. At this point, it's about performance. It's about being there for our grandkids. It's about, not being a pain for our kids, right? As we age. It's about, because we already work for half of our life already, right? Then now it is time to enjoy life, but you cannot enjoy life with pains and aches or illness or disease. So it is.
I was back on performance.
Back for performance, of course, right?
But I think there's an interesting piece of that, though, that actually, which are primarily women who are then having surgery to look younger, what are they not dealing with? Because their body image is being picked up or, fed by the fact that they've had a facelift or whatever they've done to themselves.
We lost her.
Can you hear me?
Your
We
volume.
lost your audio, Sarah.
Yeah. Is that better?
No. Sarah Ross, Into the Void. Yeah, it's not there. What Sarah was talking about body image, and women are doing things to their bodies, and what do you think they're avoiding?
Well, the thing is, I'm gonna go back to health again, okay? Because health is not only about being free of pain and aches; it's also about your emotions. And if you're not taking care of your emotions, if you're not doing the work that we all need to do, period, whether you're a female or a male, right? And we all need to do the work. So by avoiding aging, right?
Yep.
By doing Botox or plastic surgeries, like Cher is like, how old is she? Like she's like 80 already. And how many plastic surgeries she got because she wants to look young, right? And I mean, that is the other extreme. But is that healthy? If you are not looking after your emotions, that's when there is something that is not, aligned. Because you might be doing things, you might be doing that for the wrong reasons. But when we can, and I want to say that when I talk about reverse aging, I'm not talking about plastic surgeries, I'm not talking about Botox, I'm talking about exercise, eating, sleep, learn how to manage stress, be in contact with your emotions and learn how to manage your emotions, right? And have a level of like a spirituality, whatever that looks for the person. So that's what it actually will help us to reverse aging. And on top of that, of course, some supplements that would allow us to compensate all those things that we stop producing, like we stop producing human growth hormone, we stop producing glutathione, all those things that are the things that keep us young, like keep the young look. We stop producing that. But if we are active, if we exercise properly, because exercise, that's another thing. A lot of people underestimate this one because everybody thinks that exercise is just exercise for the sake of moving something. We need to exercise with an intention. We need to know where we're heading, right? And then whether the intention is reverse aging or just build muscle because you want to be like puffy and all that stuff, as long as you have the intention clear, that's what it really matters, right? And then when we look at reverse aging, there is a very specific way on how we need to exercise to start reversing the clock. And there is no plastic surgery, right? There's no weird stuff that it's, and Venezuelans, we're all for, like in Latin America, we're all for looking perfect, by the way. Like plastic surgery, girls at 15 years old are asking for plastic surgeries. Like, honestly, which
My reason for exercising is always to get to the cookie jar.
always, but there are good cookies, by the way. I have a good recipe cookies that are so delicious and it's full of superfoods, right?
Because
But it goes with that, right? It goes if I have only one answer, I don't, because it's so complex on all the things that we need to do to integrate, to be happy with our body, right? Be happy, like mentally happy, emotions balanced. But there's not a simple answer to that. And there's no one solution either. We need to look at the whole gamut of different things in order to be in harmony. I think that's the word, right? Because balance, it's just, but I think if we're more in harmony, then that's when we can reverse aging, because we're now in a different state of mind, that we know what are the things that we need to do in order to be agile, performance, like have muscles, be like our joints, we have a good range of motion, because that's the other thing, right? So we have the tendency to be so stiff because of, the lack of movement. And that's also a result of aging, because we're like, it's normal. I don't get to reach to the top, like this movement, it is not available anymore, and that's okay because I'm old. I'm like, it's not okay. We all need to be able to reach out this high with our shoulder and being able to be okay with it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we're getting close to the end. So what is this the best way to get no, we'll do this. Is this the best way to get a hold of you, Dee?
Yes, to get a hold of me, that is the best way to do it. And but if you guys want to follow me and see what I'm up to these days and all that kind of stuff, You can go to Facebook and you can find my page, Naked Fit, and you will see Naked Fit is 100% health and fitness. And then you can find me also on Instagram under Dee Mago Happy Naked. And you know that's basically, you can follow me and you can see all the things that are happening and all the crazy stuff that sometimes I do, that I show. I don't show always all the crazy stuff I do. But some of them are okay.
And that in itself, I would have liked to have touched on, because it's so wrong. Like, Dee has posted some beautiful pictures of some implied nudity, and it's, to me, it's wrong that we as a society can't share that without a woman being negatively impacted, or the potential for a woman to be negatively impacted, for people to judge that Dee is happy, maybe not all the time in her body, but people judge because she's happy in her body. There's got to be something wrong with her. And then they put these negative descriptive words in it. Well, she's a whatever, she's a dada, and she's like, all of these negative, destructive words associated with it because she's happy. And I mean, it took a while to get to happy naked. It took a while. And so I urge you to go and find the book Happy Naked on Amazon. Go find it and learn Dee's story about it. It wasn't an overnight. One day she woke up and said, damn it, I'm happy. It was a learning process. And then, well, I should reverse that. That yes, one day she woke up and said I was happy naked, but it didn't occur quickly and rapidly. It takes a long time. Like, I'm not ashamed of who I am naked, but in certain circumstances I would feel like not inadequate, but I would feel shy because of people judging me. But I think it's a terrible part of society of where we are, where a woman needs to be so protective of herself.
Yes, and you know what? It's not only what it took me to be where I am today. It is something that you don't get there and then you stop. You get there and then you keep doing it and you keep doing it and you keep working on it. Because as I said earlier, I turned 40 and I have cellulite. It did like boom. And but then I also noticed that my hormones were out of whack. So I was happy naked until I turned 40, and then I'm like, what the heck happened? And I have to figure this out again. So it's an ongoing thing. It's not something that you just go, you reach your goal or your weight goal, and then that's it. No, it is an ongoing thing. It is like because I think the beauty of being humans is that we always strive for more. Okay, it can be good or it can be bad, depends on how you take it, right?
Yeah.
But we always go for more, and that is the ongoing thing. And I always say it's all about going back to nature, back to basics, right? Once we get the basics covered, then you're in a good path, right?
Sarah, what's the best way? Oh, I realized I didn't create a banner for it. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, you got it. You cannot get your volume.
I'm going to say it. Go on. We're using Facebook right now, so go and find Sarah Ross, and she's in the UK. You will see
Your reason to breathe.
There we go. Yes. Look up Your Reason to Breathe. Google it, and you will get her.
Perfect. I'm looking at it right now as we talk.
Yeah. And for me, you can get a hold of me. You can go to 7secrets.bestyoucanbe.ca, and you will get a free PDF of 7 secrets to living a more joyful, happy life. And I want to thank Dee for sharing her wisdom and her passion. And we didn't go too crazy into the taboo subjects. Maybe we'll do that another day. And I want to thank Sarah for jumping in and staying up to some unearthly hour tonight because she's across the pond and it's late there. So thank you, Sarah, for coming to be a co-host. And with that, I just want to say thank you to everyone and adios.